So I have with me here John Chou from the B Token. Welcome, John.
Thank you for having me.
So I want to give you a chance to introduce yourself. Tell us what your background is, and then also I want to hear how you first found out about Bitcoin and what you thought of it.
Yeah, sure. So my name is John Chow. I'm co-founder and CEO of BToken, which is decentralized Airbnb. How I got into Bitcoin, I think it was quite quite a few years ago, probably around 2011 or 12. And back then, people were just talking about it, just buying it for either use on the dark web or a little bit of speculation in general. And yeah, it's definitely come a long way since then.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. So when you first found out about it, did you say, "Wow, this is so revolutionary," or did you think it was, kind of scammy?
I thought the idea was very interesting. The fact that a digital currency could exist. Of course, back then it wasn't nearly as mainstream as it is now. So the actual feasibility of it working was much lower probability than it is now. Um, I
Yeah.
think even now there's actually not that many people who use it. I was looking at blockchain.info, which checks active wallets, and there's only 700,000 people who active wallets. I mean, which translates to even fewer people.
Right, right. Interesting. Well, now let's talk about the B Token. You founded this recently. Tell me about it.
Yeah. So at the B token, we're building decentralized Airbnb. So I think the two core principles of a lot of decentralized companies is first the tokenization, because for traditional companies, as they grow in value, for example, let's use Uber. Uber's gone from zero to $70 billion. So the founders and VCs have made a lot of money. But then the drivers, as most people have heard, make less and less. Maybe they started with $40 and now they make only $10. So I think that when you tokenize an economy, you align the incentives of everyone, as opposed to just the founders and VCs making it there. And the second part is removing the middleman. So Airbnb charges about 15 to 20% in commission, and we reduce that to zero.
Wow. So for those of you who don't know, Airbnb is an online way to find, instead of a hotel, stay in someone's house when you're visiting an area.
Yep.
And to do that in a decentralized way, you'd have a market kind of on a blockchain, which allows people to find each other in that way. So one of the big hurdles, obviously, to moving a mainstream market like that into the blockchain is getting people to exchange their tokens. And I know you plan to accept fiat currency like dollars and euros. So how do you plan to turn people's dollars into, the tokens? Do you plan to facilitate that exchange yourselves or use an outside exchange?
Yeah. So we're collaborating with a few companies. One of them is called Connect. And I would say our main focus right now is to test out the feasibility using Ethereum, Bitcoin, and B token first.
Mhm.
And probably in a year we will have much bigger details on fiat. But the general risk is you don't want to be the custodian of the fiat. Like you don't actually want to be the one handling it, because then you'll be charged with money transmitter issues. So that's
Right. And it's no longer decentralized if you're a single point of failure in converting those funds.
absolutely, absolutely.
I see. Wow. Okay, so another aspect of Airbnb or of decentralized home sharing, of course, is a reputation system. You need to be able to trust that the person who you're going to stay with has a good reputation, that they have reviews. So tell me about the power of your reputation system.
Yeah, so I think what we're combining is the immutable reviews that blockchain is known to be famous for, and the traditional reputation system, which includes traditional government checks, ID checks, and all of the background checks, but also including blockchain technologies like Uport, which is very similar to Civic but owned by Consensus, and a few other mechanisms there. And then combining all of that information, because our co-founder and CTO has a really strong background in artificial intelligence, and running some basic models in order to calculate our reputation score.
Okay, so a combination of decentralized reviews and a sort of centralized background checking system will give people the.
To be at least on par as the current centralized systems.
Yeah, one of the downsides of the centralized systems is that those arbiters of the reviews, like Yelp, for example, or Google, have the ability to go in and change those reviews. But on a blockchain, no one can make those changes. It's completely immutable, so it's more trustworthy.
Yeah, exactly. Fully agree there.
Yeah. So another aspect of the decentralization is arbitration. If two people disagree about what really happened, who deserves the money, you can also solve that in a decentralized way. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I think dealing with subjectivity on the blockchain has always been a very difficult issue. And the current most efficient way we've seen to deal with this is through judicial panels. So if you have a conflict and you need someone to review it, you submit the case, and then we forward that to five random judges. And then these judges then submit and review your case, and they're incentivized by B token to do this. And then based on the decision, we propagate that decision back to our systems and make that same action.
So it sounds like there's a couple of ways to get involved in the B token system. You can act as an arbiter, or you could act as someone who's going to stay, or if you have a room available in your home, you could be a host.
Yeah, exactly. So just like you said, there's guests and hosts, and there's also arbiters slash judges.
Okay. What advice do you have for someone who wants to get involved in one of these areas?
Yeah, so I would say, at just like every other cryptocurrency, being an early adopter is something that we heavily incentivize and reward. So we're going to be launching our platform in Q1 2018, especially starting with San Francisco. So if you're in those areas and you want to participate, please reach out to us. We'd love to onboard you.
Awesome. And the B token will also have its own token on the Ethereum blockchain. Is that something that you're having an ICO for? How can people get involved with that?
Exactly. So our token sale will be at the end of January, January 31st. So please look forward to it. We're yeah, we're seeing some good demand for it.
Awesome. What's the best way to get hold of you?
Sure. So please check us out at www.btoken, B as in BEE, and our Telegram is also at btoken, BEE.
Cool. Yeah, a lot of communities are moving on to Telegram now. It's a great way to interact with people who are looking to get involved on the platform.
Yep, exactly. Heavily recommend Telegram. We're very active there.
Awesome. So, do you have any last words for our community?
Thank you for having us, and we're always looking for other decentralized applications to collaborate with and share ideas with. So please feel free to reach out.
Cool. Will do. Thanks for your time. So it looks like the team has a lot of credentials behind it. You have a lot of experience with the team. How did you find each other? I'm curious.
Yeah, so I used to lead the security team at Uber.
Mhm.
So I think in general, when you work in one of the top Silicon Valley companies, you generally just have a very strong Silicon Valley network. So what I did when initially wanted to start this was I reached out to basically the best people I knew. So regardless of like whether that Facebook, Google, or Uber, I just reached out to the best engineers I knew, the best product people I knew,
Mhm.
and I did know most of them in some capacity before starting this, and I was very surprised that they all agreed to join because usually you can imagine taking employees from these top companies is extremely difficult.
Yeah, certainly, certainly. So what percentage of the team do you know personally, or did you know when they were hired?
I think I know about 70 to 80% of the team personally. I think in general, people will just never leave these top. You can imagine even top startups have a very hard time recruiting from these companies
Yeah,
because you can never compensate the same as like Google or something. They pay you like 500K a year.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it has to be like half the passion, but also I mean not half. It has to be like some type of non-monetary compensation that they get, like whether they like the work environment more or
yeah,
they're very passionate about the idea, or maybe even all of them to make up for
yeah,
it.
yeah. It pretty much has to be all of them.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for your time. I'll let you go.